Okay, it's official. Ladies and gentlemen, it's official. And I'm talking about the competitive part of the show. Yeah. You know, we always talk about how the show is not just an entertainment show, how it's not just a reality TV show, but how it is also a competition where games will be played by very strong and brutal players. And this season is no exception to the intensity and the brutality of the competition in itself. Everything all encompassing. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, during the second live nomination show of the season, Big Brother took out time to explain everything to the housemates, officially ushering them into game mode. Yes, last week it was sort of game mode, but also the battle of the most entertaining and most riveting character in the house. Yes, so from tonight, Big Brother ushered the housemates into that world of competition of the season. Here's the thing. Emeka already announced to us all of these new twists that will be happening this season. But the difference is it was us, the viewers, that were aware. The housemates were not aware. So tonight, Big Brother announced to the housemates, giving them all the insights that they needed to know about all of these new twists. And guys, the tension in and outside the house, it's insane. Listen, I was literally sweating before coming on to make this video, but that is fine. On this video, we're going to talk about how the live nomination process panned out, and then we're going to go into the details of all of these new twists. And then we're going to go into all the details of all of these new twists that Big Brother has introduced for the season, all right? So ladies and gentlemen, make sure you watch to the end of this video. Do not skip out on any part so that you do not miss out on anything. Before we get into it, hi, you're all specially welcome to my channel. My name is Glory Elijah. This is Frankly Speaking with Glory Elijah, and I am the girl with the tea. Without further ado, let's just quickly dive right into it. So tonight's nominations was quite interesting as it took a different turn. And ladies and gentlemen, I totally loved this new style of the nominations. Yeah, because it was just very straightforward, not time consuming, and just straightforward. All right, so Big Brother had first sent the housemates to the garden to wait. Now they had been there for I think about 30 minutes or thereabout, or probably more, and then he had called them back into the mansion. By the time they returned back into the house was looking clean and well arranged. Everything was tidied up. It looked as though Big Brother sent in ninjas to come and tidy up the house. But then Big Brother had asked the housemates to search around the house and find a red envelope, for they have positioned, or rather planted, 28 envelopes, with the exception of the head of house, who already has immunity from nominations this week. Yeah, so every single housemate were to search for those envelopes. Yes, and when they find one, they were to return to the lounge and wait. So they had 10 minutes to search for just one envelope each. And ladies and gentlemen, the search began. It was intense. It was insane. These housemates were in a frenzy. Everybody was kind of panicking because they did not know what to expect. But ladies and gentlemen, I was kind of familiar, you know, with the system. I think some of the housemates too should be familiar, because during the All-Star season, we had something similar happen, yes, where at least one or two of the envelopes had immunity, and then another one had eviction. Yeah, so all the housemates were searching. So a lot of the housemates found their envelopes, but unfortunately, I think about 8 of them did not find an envelope. Yeah, but that did not pose a problem to them, because Big Brother had instructed some of the housemates to stand up and unveil the contents of their envelopes. And when they did, what was written on it was "try again later," which means that at least one of those envelopes was supposed to contain an immunity. Yes, an immunity message. But unfortunately, still, no single housemate found that envelope. And so Big Brother had informed all the housemates that, with the exception of the head of house, everybody was nominated for possible eviction this week. And ladies and gentlemen, it is real. So you need to get voting. Yes, voting lines are open from tonight. So just get voting. Go ahead, vote for the most entertaining housemates. Remember, no pity voting, no pretty privilege, no tribalism or anything of some sort, of any sort. Just go ahead and vote for the most entertaining housemate. All right, but aside that, guys, as the time the housemates had gone outside, Big Brother and his agents, they had also planted a tree in the lounge. What did he call it again? He called it the tree of trinkets. Ebuka had mentioned this. I think it was during the second launch show. I had explained all about it as one of those additional twists that had been introduced for the season. Yes, so the tree was sitting elegantly in the lounge, right close to the head of house area, and Big Brother had instructed the head of house to go ahead and pick one of the trinkets, reveal the contents, and read it out. The content of that trinket would not affect the house snail. Now, for those of you who are wondering what the house snail means, yeah, you see, yeah, from the head of house challenge down to the head of house challenger, there is always that one housemate that was the least performing challenger. Yeah, I think it's actually for the head of house challenger. Yes, so the housemates that came last during the head of house challenger is automatically given the title of the house snail. In other words, the slowest person. And for this week's head of house challenger, it was actually Otega that was the house snail. So Big Brother had given him the grace to choose a punishment for himself, which he had gone ahead to do. Now, he being the house snail, I was quite confused how he got some sort of immunity from this tree of trinkets, because according to Big Brother's instructions to the head of house, he was to pick out, like he was to pick, or let's say pluck a trinket from the tree of trinkets, and he was to read out the contents of that trinket, having at the back of his mind that whatever was contained in that trinket was not going to affect the house snail. And ladies and gentlemen, I just wish they would give us more clarity to this, because I just feel like that is totally unfair. Yeah. Why should the least performing housemates during the head of house challenger gain immunity? It doesn't make sense. I mean, it's not really adding up. But that is just for me, though. If there's any of you that actually understands why it probably makes sense to you, please let me know in the comment section. But anyways, the head of house had opened the particular trinket that he had plucked from the tree, and it said save one only. That is, he should save one person. And ladies and gentlemen, it was at this point that Victory, the head of house, for the second time today, shocked us all, the viewers. Because remember, when he was instructed to pick a guest to enjoy the head of house lounge with him, he did not choose his in-house wifey, Gigi Jasmine. He had gone ahead to choose Joanna instead. Yeah. So everybody was expecting that, okay, maybe just to make it up to Gigi, he was going to save Gigi just to prove that, girl, I like you, or me not taking you to the head of house lounge it was just a strategic move or whatever, right? People were just expecting. On the other hand, people were expecting that he was going to save his best friend, Bright Morgan. But ladies and gentlemen, Victory did not do any of those things we were thinking. Instead, he thought about it for a moment, and then he went ahead to save Kayikunmi. Listen, Victory, that guy, he has got a good head on his shoulders. When we talk about a power play, we talk about a very strategic move. That is it. That is it. And you see, in a way, I was kind of glad that he saved Kayikunmi, because Kayikunmi has been having a meltdown today. Remember all the wahala he has been going through with Bright, the fight he had with Bright, and then there is also his scattered relationship situation with Olivia. What's her name now? Isabella, and then Thelma in the picture. A lot of things has just been chaotic, to the point that the guy is saying that he wants to go and ask for voluntary exit to leave the show, because his mental health is completely messed up. Yeah, he feels completely messed up. Isabella has completely turned her back on him for disgracing her the way he did. So when the head of house saved him, the guy It was as if he was going to just faint. It was such a huge relief. And a lot of the housemates were so happy because they had seen how miserable he had been the whole day. Now, whilst that save happened, Dr. Faith, started crying. I don't understand why he was crying. We're probably going to find out much later. As I said, I was shocked. Like, I was genuinely shocked. But at the same time, I was impressed. And listening to some of the conversations that had happened right after the live nomination process, Victory had hinted that the reason he had saved Kayikunmi over anybody else was just to give him hope, that he should stay on in the game, because Kayikunmi was sort of scared that from all the mess ups he did the whole of today, that the whole house could likely nominate him and he was going to be going home anyways. So it was better for him to seek voluntary exit before his shameful eviction from the house. So that is by the way. Moving on now, ladies and gentlemen, this is actually a mouthful. I'm probably going to read it out from my book for most of these things that Big Brother said, because Big Brother used this remaining time to introduce the new twist to the housemates. So the first one here is the prize money fluctuation. That's what Big Brother called it. Now, let's not forget that this is also what Ebuka explained to us during the live launch shows, that housemates will work to earn the prize money every week, building up to the grand prize. Yes, and the grand prize is officially 80 million naira. What rounds it up to 150 million is other gifts, that is added to it. Every week, beginning from next week, every housemate, as a matter of fact, as a collective, they will have to work towards building up to that 80 million, or they could carelessly fall short. In other words, you could earn the money this week, but if you probably break rules or probably do XYZ, the money could either drop again. So it's a two-way thing for these housemates. Now, according to Big Brother, it's going to be a collective effort. He's going to be introducing a lot of activities, and housemates' performance will be rated. Yes, housemates' performance will be rated, and depending on how well they perform, it will help them to earn that money. Let me see, there's still a lot of other things. They said it's not about how many housemates. In other words, it's not about the quantity, but it mostly depends on the quality, what each housemate brings to the table to work towards this particular goal. Yes, and even though it's just one person that will win the grand prize at the end of the day, it is a collective effort that will make that money build up to that amount. Yes. Now, another thing Big Brother said, he said not all tests will be announced and not all consequences will be immediate. In other words, they could have impromptu tests, impromptu activities, and then maybe if they fail, the consequences of losing might not come immediately. He might delay. Maybe when the housemates are forgotten, boom, they get the consequences, probably a punishment or something. Yeah. Now, Biggie moved on to the most influential player of the week. Ebuka also announced this one on the day of the launch show, but Big Brother had to, introduce it to the housemates. So just as Ebuka said, housemates will vote for the most entertaining housemates. But as a matter of fact, there are different criteria to it, and Big Brother mentioned it all. So the most influential player of the week will be voted based on housemates who contributed the most to the wager, housemates who contributed the most to general task, housemates who contributed the most to house chores, housemates who dedicated a lot of time during workouts. And this one is very vital because most of the times a lot of these housemates do not like to work out. Housemate who is the most competitive, especially in the arena, and then housemate who is the most entertaining at all times. Each housemate will be given a scorecard with the name of their fellow housemates on that card, and there will be scores between 1 to 5. 1 is going to be the lowest and 5 is going to be the highest score. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, it's official. The competition has started. It's time for everybody to shine their eyes. Watch out for the most entertaining housemates on the outside, whilst the housemates are on the inside, fulfilling all of these obligations. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop talking here right now. I'll see you all on another video. But in the meantime, I would love to hear your thoughts about all of these new twists. Are you excited about them all? What do you think? What do you think about the tree of trinkets? What do you think about the house snail gaining immunity? Because for me, it doesn't really make sense. But I would love to hear your thoughts, all right? So go ahead and share, and I will see you all on my next video. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing evening.